Are we live on both?
What's that? Oh,
Are we live on both?
no. Okay, hold on a second. We'll do it again. And we're live again.
All right.
So, double
No, so we were just talking about Stephen Pressfield
Mhm.
and Do the Work. I read that book when I was trying to like bash my way through college quickly, and
Yeah.
that was a super helpful book. I actually have it on audio and a physical book just to like remind me. He's a brilliant writer.
That sounds like a Jocko thing. Do the work.
Do the work. He's
It's one
actually funny
page.
enough. If you read the book though, it's very un-Jocko-y. It's
that's cool.
like, yeah, he's very whimsical in his writing, but his is about like creative endeavors, and it's just at the same time you just got to actually do the work. He talks about the creative process where you end up essentially when you're like 75% of the way through, you're just like, this sucks, and you like don't want to do it anymore. But then you just keep pushing through, and then you eventually get to the end of the project. And but I've wanted to read his book Turning Pro just because I've heard it recommended so many times, and his books are usually like super thin. They're very actionable.
Straightforward.
Maybe we should read that together and do like a book club.
What's so I just had a thought and I totally missed out on it. Sorry, what's like the general premise of Turning Pro? Is it just like to make a hobby or make something side, like to make it a full-time thing?
Yeah. And it's usually in the context of like writing, but
Okay.
his stuff seems to apply to like any creative endeavor, like making a podcast.
That makes sense.
Yeah, he's got some great stuff. Yeah, so that was pretty cool. But anyways,
Well, you can see everybody that Matt is alive.
Yep.
That's a good thing.
I'm alive. Yep. I didn't die at the tournament.
What was the sorest part of you after the tournament? Like the day or two after? Like, was there something that really
I was in pretty good shape, honestly. Like, yeah, my hamstrings were a little sore, which is not the one I was going to expect because it's not like I was sitting there clamping with my legs a bunch.
Yeah, there wasn't like a really lot of hard guard play on your end. You were very top dominant.
Yeah, my arms weren't even tired really. My back was a little sore, just from the extreme exertion, and I just was like kind of a little bit tired. But I felt actually like really good. The fact I only had 2 matches probably helped a lot. If I had to double that and do 4 or 5, then it'd probably be a different story. But I'll tell you, man,
Jordan had 8 matches.
Yeah, or Justin. I don't know how many. 20 matches. Like, I don't know.
Signed up for like 4 divisions and just like nonstop. Like, I think I'm up next. I think there's like 3 or 4 people in my division. Like, I'm not sure, and he just left.
I legitimately had a moment where I walked out and was watching a different match, just a random one. Actually, it wasn't random. It was one of the guys I thought I was going to be competing against later.
Sure.
And I think I was right. I think he's the guy who pulled out of the division.
Was he the guy that you saw do the flying triangle?
Yeah, where he was like a really aggressive guard puller and stuff. He ended up versing the guy I versed. And so I was watching him because I was like, dang. But then I think he just ended up backing him. Maybe he got hurt. Maybe he just was like, I don't want to do this or something for some reason.
He was in the gi, correct?
Yeah.
Seems like
maybe he had a very gi dominant game.
The day it's like people are tired or whatever, and they just want the gi victory, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna go do something else."
But funny enough, I looked at the match. I look over, I'm like, God, that guy looks like Justin. And keep in mind, Justin's competed in 3 divisions up to this point. So I was like, Justin is done. In my head, Justin is done.
Yeah,
he's done fighting people today, and he is going to be relaxing and chilling. And I was like, oh my God, that's Justin. Justin's out on the mat again. I was like, what the heck is this guy doing?
I just went to one division where he was just
awesome
on wrestling and takedowns, and then he had to verse the guy again. He's like, I think I'm just gonna play guard this time.
Yeah,
like
he's like, I'll never get better if I don't.
I'm just gonna
try. He's got like the best mentality for it.
I'm not sure now is the best time to just be messing around with, playing instead of. But I mean, like he had some medals, so I believe he took gold in 2 and silver in 1.
Dang, he should have wore all of his medal around flanking like all the children do.
He makes it sound like he's got a drawer at home that's just got a bunch of random medals in it that he just throws down. And it's like, guy's a beast. So we had a really good time on Saturday.
Yeah.
It was super fun. I can't remember the last time I went down there. Oh, sorry. I can't remember the last time I went down there. That was you and me.
Yeah.
But we kind of like watched matches a little bit, but we had such a big focus on our podcast and focusing on that. Like we saw matches here and there, but it wasn't as tight, So this time going down from at least myself, I was very in tune, especially with our no-gi group of how everything went. So our friend and coach here, Jordan Lester, to no surprise, did very, very well in his divisions. So he basically out-wrestled two big giants in the absolutes division.
Yeah.
And then got caught with a very not slick.
These
very
guys
awesome.
had like 2 feet on him. Like one of those guys was so tall. He was like one of those guys. I was looking at him. I'm like, this guy's like 6'6".
It
like,
did not even cross my mind when the first person came out. I go, it's just somebody. And I walked out. I'm like, dude, you're a foot taller than Jordan. Jordan like has a complete poker face when it comes to competing. Like he was not showing it at all, and just like his work.
You can tell he's competed a lot.
But went for double unders on this guy after taking him down. He got caught in a triangle, fought it for about 40, 50 seconds, and ended up getting tapped. So it was very slick. I mean, it was a brown belt, just very legit triangle. So it was good lessons for next time. Then he competed in his division and swept it. No pun intended. He swept it and took it. So, but there's a lot.
I don't think he did a single sweep.
I know. I was just thinking that. It's like sweep.
Actually, outside sweep single. I know, but
like he took it. Definitely have a lot of good things going forth with him of kind of opening up his submission game of things that I saw that he was having difficulties with during the match.
For the listeners, Jordan didn't get a single point scored on him out of all of his matches.
You know, it's funny you say that. That's cool. I didn't even think about it in that context.
I think so. And he had like 25 points against other competitors. Like he was rocking it.
So my friend
Sam, made fun of him for having 5 points against somebody because we're like 5 points, only 5, because he was like rocking it with like 20, 25 points. You know, like
I think it was.
I was tempted to be like, dude, if you can clip 50, I'll take you out to dinner. You know, be kind of funny.
So I heard. Do you know who has the record of most points in one match?
Like you're saying ever, or like
like I think it was Grappling Industries match.
Okay, well, who?
Andrew Wilty.
Really? What did he have?
Do you want to take a random number guess?
78.
Like 93.
Did he just go like knee on belly, side control, knee on belly, side control, knee on belly?
Crazy spam. Like, and now after watching the last tournament, I'm curious how he even kept track of all that. You'd have to go like back on the video and go.
Yeah, the person like that poor like, ref. They're just like.
And the person that has to sit here and like do the math quick, like, was that 5?
They're just like
10 or whatever.
10, just give him 10. Just give him 10. Yeah.
I think because my friend Sam that was there, he was like, yeah, I heard Jordan like got like 150 points or something like that. Like it was some insane number. And I was like, I don't think it was that much. And then I went back and did the math. It was like 103.
Dang. That's really good.
That was 103 out of only 8 matches. So
yeah,
not bad. That was pretty good. But like basically to get that many points. But again, it is a submission grappling event.
12 points a match.
Yeah.
12, 13 points a match.
Did a very good job. And so it'll be great to see his submission game open up. We had our guy Paul there as well too.
Yeah.
I think he had a good
Paul's got spirit.
Good mix of some wins and losses. I think in there, like when I was seeing his record, like it was certainly difficult. It's something for me to consider moving forward with some, I'm guessing some more competitors from our studio in the future of like bouncing back and forth with coaching too, to make sure that like, especially once again, in the Nogi realm and there's 10 matches going on at the same time and there's just all adults. It's like, that might be a little difficult to jump. Cause even with you and Jordan, sometimes almost overlapped. So it's like, those kind of things. And if we had like a couple more people, that could be tough. So Paul definitely was jumping in and out with a couple matches and caught a little bit here and there.
Yeah, I actually got the corner for him, I think, for 3 matches.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I ran over there.
Oh,
yeah, because you were cornering Jordan, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was great. I thought it was super fun.
I think that'll be a great thing moving forward of just like, we'll try to see what we can have for floaters. Because again, having someone like us, at least someone from the team like coaching, is better than empty chair. I know.
I actually really liked your cues too. Your cues were like perfect for me. Like,
that was helpful.
I really liked them.
So
yeah, super helpful.
I was watching a video.
There was only one cue that I was like, Levi, I can't do that.
What was that?
I had like a knee, like one knee pinned of his. I was like kind of in like a knee shield position, and you're like, get double underhooks. And I was like, if I tried my hand, I was gonna have no post.
Oh, sure.
And he still had a drive leg against me, and I kept trying to get double underhooks, and that's how I was just like falling over what I should have. And like, I never do double underhooks from that position.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't like flat.
Mm.
And he like he had like an interesting guard where he like kept his knees right in front of him. And what I should have done, just because I'm more familiar with it, was I should have done an underhook crossface and then smeared to half. But I was trying to get it, but I was sideways, and I was like trying to get and then also he heard it. So then he just went, like, so that was kind of funny. But it wasn't necessarily the wrong cue. It's just, that was like the only one where I was just like, I can't do that.
The psychology of coaching is so weird because I was watching this video game channel that was talking about esports, so competitive sports, and saying the role of a coach. And they were almost, it's so funny because a lot of people overlap this channel. So Core A Gaming, shout out, overlapping this channel with many aspects of jiu-jitsu, so combat. And they were almost making the joke of going, can you imagine having someone who's there coaching you? Like you have 3 matches with somebody, and after the first match, they go, hey, every time you throw a fireball, they always block. Like, make sure you jump up. Now, next time they have a match against someone, they do it, and they beat the next person. But he was talking like, you basically like infused your knowledge into this person that previously didn't have it. And he related it to like giving answers on a test, which I thought was an interesting correlation. Like, imagine you both are taking this test, and I'm like, A, B, C, D, like giving these responses, especially from a third party perspective versus you being in this first person mode. But it's something that will never get out of a part of the culture. I would love to do a grappling invitational that I would say no coaches, no coaching. Like, you could be like really encouraging, like, hey, awesome job, nice work, like, woohoo, like big generalized cues of just like crowds or fans. But imagine if there was a competition where you couldn't give specific cues.
That'd be hard to manage, though.
Well, like people would say, like, take your left hand, bring it over here. Like, that's a specific cue, or something like that. You'd have to categorize it for a ref to go look at the coach going, hey, no specific cues, or you get points.
That would be
what?
That would be so hard to unravel, though, because you'd get coaches going like, okay, when I say breathe twice, that means get an underhook. And when people always will try to game stuff. I think 100%. You'd have to either go, they can talk or they can't. I think you'd have to just nix the whole thing because but I actually really enjoyed your cues though. Like when you were like, cook the arm triangle, I was actually going to try to go for it. And I was like, God, my arms are so tired, and I was like sitting there and I'm like, I don't think I'm in the right spot to do, because I actually went for it at first. And then he ended up putting up some like a frame a little bit.
Yeah.
And then you were just like, cook it. And I was like, you're right. I can cook. Why do I have to rush? I've got no reason to rush right now. And so I held it for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I was able to just sink into it. It's probably the best arm triangle I've ever done in my life. Like just with how fast he tapped. Like I was just like, and the thing that he tapped me so many times because I was like ratcheting it up and I was at like 20%.
Wow.
And so that's what took me by surprise, where I was just like, all right, now I'm going and I'll probably have to give like 50% more to be able to get a tap on this. And he was already tapping. And I was just,
So for everyone's reference, Matt won both of his matches. So Matt got gold in his division. So, but yeah, so let's start with kind of breaking everything down. The first one. So I was watching the YouTube videos before this, so I can kind of get some actual notes with it. I was thinking of doing a screen record of like having the match up and then going, rewinding and things like that, but the tech wasn't there for me right now. So,
okay. That was one of my questions.
Hold on. I might pop it up on my phone for a second just because we are.
Yeah, we could both start at the same time.
Yeah.
So while we're doing that, I also wanted to give a big shout out to everyone that came to support it from Theory too. That was awesome. My wife Kayla came, so that was so helpful, and that was really neat to have her there. I know Riley, who's Jordan's fiance, came, which was really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Ethan came, which was so cool to see him there as well. And then we also had Eileen, right? And then her husband, Jake. And funny enough, Eileen thought my name was Mike.
We had Natalie and Jeffrey Lem, so we had the Lem family come down too.
Oh, yep. I remember seeing them for a little bit. Oh, and then obviously, Paul was. Yeah, we already said Paul was there.
Yeah, the whole team.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was so cool. I actually, it was a thing I never realized how fun it is to have a group there and have a little camp and chill and cheer each other on and help each other prepare for their matches. Like there was it was really fun like that.
One
And
of my favorite
um,
moments from competing was getting a submission and then hearing like the small group of people I had with me like cheering. I thought that was kind of cool. Like I got
oh,
it, and then like, "Oh, winner," and they raise a hand. Everyone's like, "Yeah!" Like it's fun. Like you're with a team, and like, "Yeah, we did it," kind of stuff. Like that's super fun.
it was so cool. Um,
Oh, do you know? Okay,
yeah,
I'm not sure if when you want to get into it. Sorry, I just was starting to watch your
you
match.
know what?
That is just match one.
So what we could do is we could start at the same time and then we could kind of walk through, or maybe just give some general notes first. That'd be another way we could do this.
Yeah, like I
I'm
was
kind of
just
figuring
trying
this
to.
out on the air right here, folks.
Yeah.
I'm
So
in Tennessee right now for everyone to know that why we're on while we're virtually
studio, nice and live. I wonder how
theory
far back we
jiu-jitsu.
can go.
You know what actually was really helping prepping for this?
What's that?
Nina's Jiu-Jitsu Training Journal, available on Amazon.
Oh, give
That
me one
was super
second.
helpful.
I'm gonna run. I'm gonna run back quick so you guys can see me.
All right, I'll keep giving a commercial. So using Nina's training journal was super helpful for laying out my thoughts, a little bit of my game plan, some of my training leading up to the match. They're available on Amazon. Thank you, Nina, for sharing this with us and letting us share this with our listeners as well. And I found it to be super helpful. And I think, Levi, you have a theory training journal that you and Nina
Yes.
collabed on.
So Nina and I we're talking a little bit about the journal because I really love the format that she had. A lot of it though was kind of more like, I mean, there's some things like gi or no gi or
Yeah, it was very
swim in and
broad,
things like
right?
that.
It can apply to a lot of different places.
So it's great, especially if you're like traveling a lot and going different places. Like fantastic. And I thought, well, wouldn't it be cool if I had one that was specifically just for here? So had all the different formats of here, nice little open space to write some additional notes or diagrams or things like that. But it's fantastic. So we kind of collabed a little bit and went through a couple different sections. And I think it's a really good starting point and see what people need. But it's great. I think it structures really well, especially in the beginning of class. And then at the end of class, kind of like a summary of like what went well and what to focus on for next time. All these cool things. But yes, training drills. So these are $10 a piece. Or sorry, yeah, $10 a piece at Theory. They should be coming in this upcoming week. Order 15 of them. So if you're interested, you can pre-order, especially with Theory members. And I think I was going to talk with Nina about reaching out for other gyms, of like
Oh
reaching out with
yeah,
other gyms to do like custom training plans for them or training journals. Like, why not?
yeah,
Be like, I like this, I like focus on this, want to add this. And it's like, you got a whole custom train drill. So can I
nice.
help you a little bit? Do you do any recording of notes and things like that?
Yeah, I like to write stuff down and just kind of goof around with some things and kind of help me break down some thoughts. And it's nice that they give it like a concise place to put it. So yeah, I
Yeah.
really liked it.
In the past, I
It
would do
helped a
things
lot.
like Google Docs. Like I would have something and then it'd be like, oh, post match notes. Like, and kind of like what I did this past tournament too. I kind of just wrote some notes of like what went well, things to improve upon. This whole past week, unfortunately, with Matt being gone, I was just running through all the things that like we can work and
Oh
enhance
no,
on, kind of thing. So like, I like that kind of theme right away. Like to say, hey, here's some
yeah,
topics for us, like certain skill sets that we can focus on a little bit more, core foundational things that people either running into or issues or things like that. So I want to say right away, the first match that Matt had, I would like to describe him as a guard player. So very much a guard player.
I would
And
agree.
the general theme of the whole match or the general the way it went was this person had a really strong focus on retaining guard. It
Yeah,
was I I can't say that he was establishing any strong submissions at all. I definitely
I
saw that
had a thought on that.
he was trying to sweep you a couple times and
I
destabilize
think
you.
he was also trying to get me in a leg lock.
Oh, is that what you
So
felt?
yeah, so what I was thinking, and we could actually put this available on our channel or something like that if people want to see me flail around. Um, but no, yeah, because also I listened to his coach. So I've watched the video a couple times.
Oh, you
First
listened to
time
his
looking at what I
coach.
was doing,
Wait,
watching
wait.
him, and then one time I watched the video just listening for his coach's cues.
Interesting. That's cool.
And then I heard, and you talked about like splitting the legs. So I was like, okay, he's probably trying to get inside control and either trying to do like an X guard sweep kind of thing or a leg lock. And when I heard him say split the legs this early on in the match, that's one of the reasons why I was reluctant to stand back and try to pass from scratch, because I was like, that's where he's probably practices entries.
Interesting.
So if I stay smashed in, my thought was, if I have one leg in and one leg out, and I am trying to be the aggressor and trying to get past his legs and not let him have the inside space, if he's got a leg lock planned for me, then hopefully he won't be able to access it. So that was my thought on the fly. Like, I wouldn't been able to articulate it like this, but it was more so, don't let him underneath me. Don't let my legs get split, no matter what it costs, even if it means I fall into his guard.
In retrospect, we should have recorded both the competitors you went against and recorded their match against each other.
Yeah.
I can't remember how that turned out. I thought the guard player kind of got on top once, and
the other guy won. The second match guy that I versed won.
Oh, that's right, because he was exhausted.
Yeah, poor guy.
He had time to recover, though. One of Jordan's competitors lost, and he had to go up right away to the next one.
Oh,
which is weird. It wasn't like, oh, you need 5 minutes. Okay, 5 minutes is like a very nice default time, like, to wait. But they're like, nope, you're going up. It's basically like, not to say like you're a loser, but it could be like, well, you're not going for silver or gold right now. Like, you're going for a bronze medal. So it's like, whatever. Like, I guess you're going right now.
Poor guy.
I know, that sucked. I was like, I was vouching for him too. I'm like, I'm sure he's exhausted. Like, why wait, or why do it right away?
By the way, so what else did you see in that match? Let's talk about it.
A couple interesting things. He definitely did a very good job squirreling his legs back in for like a closed guard.
Yes.
Matt got a lot of practice in escaping closed guard at this point.
God, the fourth one, I even like swore. I was like, oh, shoot, because I was just like, God dang it. Like,
but you had some good athleticism to work yourself back up. Which
it was exhausting though. By like the fourth one, like, Levi, this was the most exhausted I've ever been in my life, ever, in this match.
I'm glad now you're going to hear me, and you're going to tell this to every single person who's competing for the first time. Like, you're going to get exhausted.
You know what's funny though? I don't think it was because it was my first match. I honestly wasn't even that nervous by the time when I walked on the mat. I was actually feeling pretty good. It's just his game was like kryptonite to my game. And I just felt like it was a math equation, or it would just like, I had such trouble passing, but I wanted to keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. By the end, I was like, I'm close to cardiac arrest here. Like,
near the beginning of the match, you basically did like
my wife's a nurse.
A Craig Jones staple. Like, you were in like a half guard position, you stapled his shin down, and he was starting to build up. This was around minute 130.
130. Let me get there on my iPad. Or my
saying you're in the process of like kind of passing his guard, but you're stapling his shin down, and he kept turning into you. So you seen that?
Yeah. I actually missed an opportunity there.
What was that?
Huge opportunity. Funny enough, if you pause it right at one, wherever I'm at, I look like I'm holding him down and about to punch him. No, I actually had my hand around my arm around his neck at one point, but I was not like in a firm back control. So I was like, I don't usually jump for that, but I actually had such a lock around his neck for a split second at one point in the match that I should have just gone for it and just crushed as hard as I could.
But no, you're playing basically dogfight, and then he just turned underneath and refaced you at that point.
Yeah, he had a really funky game right there. Hold on, at 140. I actually gave up the position, ended up going for the dogfight.
Correct.
Big mistake on my part. I should have I had an arm around him. I think this is an example of where
like a Russian
sometimes it's easy to overthink.
Yeah. But that's
like, I should have, I had an arm around, I should just freaking squeezed and just tried.
Then once he resettled, he was basically doing like a knee shield variation, some hand fighting, head control, things like that. But any opportunity, his knees kind of came right back.
Yeah, very squirrely knees. He was good about trying to like capture my hand, my wrist, and whatnot. I felt like I was burning 2 units of energy for every one of his, though. Like,
well, this is kind of where we'll get on the theme for the next match of just like pushing the aggression. It's like it doesn't take too much for him to scroll his legs up, but he wasn't getting a lot of top pinning pressure, so I don't think he was that tired in a sense. It was weird. He's going for head control with like knee shields, which was weird. But then anytime you flattened him back out from a knee shield, went to close guard, you stood back up. He's like, oh, I'll do a waiter sweep. You drop the knee down, And the moment you pass, like, he found his way back with his feet every single time for close guard.
Yeah,
Tried to
I
hip
like
bump sweep
couldn't
you, lock you
get
down.
pressure on him.
What's that?
I couldn't get like pressure on him. He always seemed to have a post out. Like that was the funky thing. He did try to do a hip bump sweep on me, but brah, you ain't gonna hip bump sweep me. Like that was my move for the longest time.
Yeah, that wasn't really too much energy, but yeah, just a lot of like, it's interesting. I wonder for next time if you'd play more of a float passing game on him instead of sitting back, like to get your hands above his head.
Yeah, I got to
Like
practice that
you
type of
were kind of
passing.
squatting already in that position.
Yeah.
And then at one point now, then you're playing that you drop back for the footlock, which is usually your bread and butter. It's like, I have a difficult time when you drop back for footlocks, but I'm just right here.
He was
360.
So he did a weird thing where he passed my leg over, hit the top of his stomach.
I think
And it was really strange because I was like, what are you doing? Like I was so used to the other peel, the fact that he pulled it and rolled took me by surprise. And then admittedly, my arms were tired, man. Like they weren't like excruciatingly tired, but they were like tired enough that my form, I allowed it to get crappy. And you can see I am so freaking shallow on that ankle. I'm like, got nowhere to go from it, or I should have gone way farther back. Like,
yeah. And then the cue that we were talking about as well, like your chin was going so far away from your hands.
Yep.
Like you're trying to give every little bit of force you could because of how tired you were. You're like, I'm gonna go backwards, but it's losing power a little bit. But I was impressed by that guy. I was like, I think if this was second 20 in this match, I think you would have had it. But I could tell you're engaging in that kind of guard play right away. But there's a couple times I just looked funky. But this is what we
tried
talked
to
about.
get a toe hold there too, but that just
I saw that a little bit. Okay, so this is one of my things I was going to talk about. You guys got into like a 50-50 sweeping position for a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's funny. It's something I really only see more in the gi than anything else. But I think that's the case because there's no heel hooks. But here's what Matt did. So what happened was, as you got it, Matt took that inside foot and started going for a toe hold. Which I thought was cool. Like
I don't even know. I didn't know if those were legal.
Grabbed the toes.
I just started grabbing.
He's like, it looked legit.
Well, you know what's funny? What was going through my mind there? I'm going to get heel hooked. And I forgot you couldn't heel hook in my division because it was only blue. And so I just went, shoot out. I need to go for the toe hold. And so that was my instincts
I wouldn't have been
running
surprised
there.
if you had gotten that, but you stacked them pretty hard. I wasn't 100% sure from 50-50 of passing it stacking like that, but I could tell if you had made contact with his head, you could have sprawled out and kind of got it out. So he's there.
Also, his coach said like to stand up and get a pass. And so because he was on the bottom, I think if he would have established a position after that, it would have counted as a sweep.
Yeah.
Which I didn't think about when I was diving for the toe.
It was just very surprising that you guys both went the full match and nobody scored a point.
Yeah. He almost got me there once. Like,
so
he, with the sweep on my foot, like he actually ended up getting a good grip on my ankles. And he ended up doing like a double koichi or like a waiter sweep. God, right there. That kills me at minute 39. So to our audience, this is probably, we probably should get a video up on here at some point. Minute 39, I actually had a good passing position and he was able to sneak his knee back in and actually put me in
you said 1 minute and 49 seconds?
Let's see. 440.
Oh,
440.
440. Let's go ahead a little bit here.
It drove me nuts. I had a shin staple. I had an underhook. I had a crossface, but I wasn't like cross facing him hard. I was being a gentleman. And he just was able to get his leg back. He was, to his credit. He did a good job of getting his knees back in.
Extended that leg. I just want to see one more time. See what's here. So you're there, half guard. You're like, you had a cross leg over.
So
that was weird. It was
I was
somehow got extended.
It was a weird
down.
thing. Yeah. And I was like coming through because I wanted to get to his back, but I just couldn't make it all the way around. I knew it wasn't going to happen. He was just going to turn and stick his knees in again. But yeah, actually, Levi, we should put the video on, or at least clips or something like that if we can.
We can definitely do the, people can listen for the timestamps as we kind of give it, but we'll put the link in the description. And then as like, let's say this is match 1, so you guys can kind of follow through and poke through as well. It was really, really
Yeah.
match. Now,
let me know your guys' thoughts. If you have any feedback for me, I'm all ears.
Now, so Matt won based on aggression. So Matt was there trying to push the guard passing. Bomb Person was trying to keep establishing a guard, try and build up defenses as Matt was aggressively moving forward. So that was the match. Now, I'll give
that worked to my benefit.
One possibility of why this match should have not gone to a decision. And this is actually the very first move of the match. So what happened was the guy ended up getting guard on Matt. But when I watched it, I was like, wait a second. So he gets a collar tie on you. You kind of shuck him off, and he grabs it again, and he jumps.
Hold on. I got to go back now.
He does not pull guard. He jumped guard, which is...
It's funny. My wife was like, that guy did a jerk move. And I was like, what do you mean? He just pulled guard. And she's like, yeah, that looked rough. It was funny.
He jumped it. So that technically should have been a illegal move.
A DQ?
I believe so. You can't jump guard.
I could tell he was really nervous there. Try to get it to 2-on-1. Man, it was hard getting that 2-on-1.
Yeah, he kept recentering.
He did have a hand on my neck when he tried to pull it.
I don't know what considers a jump versus a sit.
I was fine with it.
It's fine. It's just the idea that if you jump and he misplaces it and jumps onto your knees, he's throwing his weight onto your knees. And that's very similar boat of the Kanabasami sweep. So that's why they say you can't jump it. You can't throw your legs on top of somebody else's legs. So that it might not have been the case, but when I look back at it, I was like, how was there not a point scored for or against that either one of you? And I looked at it because what I thought was pulling guard without connection was a point, and I was like, I can't remember what that was, but it's not like he grabbed your head and sat down. He like jumped his feet off the ground. So I would have argued that would have been a illegal move, that would have been disqualified.
Interesting.
So
I'm glad it didn't though, because I'm glad I got the matching and I won anyway.
It just looked really weird. I'm like, I don't know how that all got started, but anyways, so first match was very much in the boat of guard passer. Now, guard playing. In the second match, the guy was...
Wait.
Go for it.
Before we go forward, I have some things I wanted to work on based off that match.
Oh, okay. So what feels your feedback there?
More passing from headquarters.
Okay.
Like you said, float passing, being able to go back to some other types of passing from the knee shield. There was a pass I was trying to do that I learned from a Gordon Ryan instructional that I was just having trouble getting to. But clearing the post, like you said, going on inside of the post a little bit more, trying to do that. I was just scared about, giving an underhook. And also, honestly, I didn't think much about it. And then obviously finishing my ankle locks snappier, like in a faster pace. As far as like technique wise, I think those were some things I really wanted to, from that match, that I think would have changed the outcome a lot more. And then also, this is going to sound funny, but I think I need a stronger upper body, because I felt like when I get in some of those positions, I feel like I have no juice. It's just, I know you're laughing, but like, seriously, I feel like if I don't feel like I can break their foot in half in a toe hold, it's like, hey, that's probably, I probably should get stronger,
Yeah. And then there's always also mechanics of like some of the positions as well. I mean, I think like you pointed out at the straight foot lock, I was almost wincing for a second. I'm like, oh my gosh, like you take that guy's foot, because I felt your footlock pressure. But you saying like you being tired, and
also I was too low. I didn't have the tight, and I wasn't going and just doing the.
So do you think that's also a mix of like having those strong instinct mechanics into you? So even if adrenaline goes, that it's just there.
I think I need more practice to just go for it and have it work and not work. Right. The big thing I need to get better at there, I think, would be feeding it to the back, and being able to have that be part of my process of snatching the single or the foot lock. I think that would be the takeaway there.
Yeah. So I think all that was really good. I think it was interesting, just that level of guard retention that he had. Like he kept going out. I was trying to figure out like how is he able to bring that knee back in every single time? I think maybe
Having
something
that bit
like
of
that
pressure too.
could have been like if he kept regarding to have worked more towards his head, like a loose pass. It's like a north-south position, something like that, instead of like because like you just mentioned before, like the kryptonite game, I think he kept
Mhm.
bringing his guard back even when you're kind of in that tight position. Uh, and so I think in that sense, it gets weird because imagine if you were tight passing and they got closed guard on you. What position is your upper body? Down low, which is what
Yeah,
you want for closed guard. You want someone's posture broken down. So you almost give them like, and now you got somebody rise back up. So I think something like that, maybe in the future, more loose passing, something like that
to
would have been,
contradict that too,
yeah.
that Globetrotters video we watched about
Mhm,
doing body locks from inside a guard,
mhm.
that might have been an option too, right? Because
Oh,
in that case, I'm waiting for him to open to attack. I'm low and he doesn't have the inside position on my arms.
yeah. You
And
were
I'd be
saying,
able to,
what was those
it
things?
actually worked when I did it in practice. You just have to be very patient.
So I think you're coming into an interesting territory here because when you talk about technique and then you're like, yeah, Levi, I was gassed. Like how much of that body lock passing, like let's say from the closed guard body lock, would have been capable if your arms were tired? Like that.
It
Maybe not like
depends. If I can get a shin staple with a body lock, I feel pretty confident.
it's
So I have
too
to wait for him to open.
it's too bad that there's not an efficient way to recreate like tournament grappling in a training.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
almost
It's
I was
not the
almost thinking
same.
of creating like an ambient noise of the tournament and
Mm,
having it play through the speakers,
yeah. Why not?
and kind of like, all right, you're like there. It sounds silly,
I think
but it
having a
like
judge.
it primes you the space and the time. Like
Yeah. I
you're
think having
not
a
getting,
judge in points too.
yeah. Oh, you have to like
Like
have a
literally
moment where
run it.
it's like, now we're gonna do it now. It makes sense. That would be interesting.
We should
Imagine if
do
we
that.
had
And we should do 6-week camps with that.
do like a
Think of how good we get.
pseudo tournament stuff where
Do a
like,
tournament prep. I would love a tournament prep class for the
well,
specific tournaments coming up.
I was thinking of doing something like that. Uh, yeah, I didn't want to isolate it too much from everybody else if this was like another training session. So I think it's more like it would just be open to everyone, but it would be knowing that
Yeah.
this stuff is like it's gonna be a different format that's gonna structure more towards a tournament match in point
Yeah.
systems and things like that versus
Even just
technical
one day a
class.
week would be cool
Yeah,
leading up to a match.
that'd be cool. I
The
like that idea.
rules. It'd also help you understand the rules from the point of view of like, if you're being the ref the whole time, you're going to start seeing things that, like really well that would probably help you coach people even better.
I was talking with Jordan about that because he was talking about the knee on belly position because we were just talking today of like elbow escapes and dismounting to knee on belly and things like that. And he's like, "That's 2 points, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's 2 points. I'm not sure if like you were mount and then you went knee on belly. Like, would you go from 4 points and then get another 2 points?"
I think it depends on it. Because I remember I read the rule book where if you're like point farming, they won't give it to you. But
Point
if it's
farming.
just part of the natural, yeah, hashtag point farming.
I love that.
If you're point farming, then they, like
Which is weird because Andrew
they'll
Wiltse, it
stop
seemed like
you.
he was purposely kind of
But I
moving,
think you have to do big enough movements where it's like, you get a full new movement, a full new movement.
I think it has to be like an advancement to get the point, you know? But like, let's say if I had you in back
Huh.
control and you slipped my back control and I got to mount,
You
would I
get
get,
points. I got points for that in my last match, I think. Or not back control, sorry. I was like in mount.
but it was like this sort of like if you're going down a rung, even though it's a dominant position, would you still get points?
I think so.
Because if you're in mount and you went down a rung and went to knee on belly, would you get points for that? You know?
Mm,
So I think those are those things I want to kind of clarify so that if I am
that's a
talking
good
with
idea.
people and going like, well, if you want to dismount or do something specific for points, like this is how you're going to have to play it at that point, or, some other kind of tactic. It just gets weird because once you start diving into that realm, like when I was talking with Jordan with his matches, he's like, I'm not used to like points not being said out loud
Yeah,
because they just raise their
that's
hands like
tricky.
2 points. Like it's up to the coaches to say like, hey, you're down 3 points, blah, blah, blah. And I told Jordan, I'm like, I never said anything because it was never a worry. It wasn't, it would be different if it was like that person's up 6 points and you have 4 points.
Yeah.
being like, whatever position
you have
you're
2
in.
minutes left and they're up by 2.
Hey, if you get this reversal, you're up 2 points, or something like that. Like you got to make 2 points happen. You got to get the sweep, like finish this guard pass, something like that. Like that would make sense. But I'm like, it didn't have to with you. I just remember that one match with Jordan, the guy. It was the kid. I think it was the kid that had Jordan scored 24 points on it or something like that. And within literally the last 10 seconds, the coach was like, and I can't tell if it felt like he was not joking. It felt like he was serious. He said, "Go get him. He's stalling." Like to Jordan, like to say about Jordan stalling. And I almost basically felt like I reflexively said, "Jordan, go take him down." Like that's what I said. Like, don't make it seem like you're sitting here like backwards, like not engaging this fight. Like he just completely whooped your guy for 27 points. And you have this audacity to be like, you're stalling now these last 20 seconds of him just catching a breath. Like stalling? Like, come on. You go take him down right now.
Yeah.
I'm like
good luck.
sending his honor
Good luck.
for him. I'm like, don't let him.
I've never seen him taken down ever. Good luck.
My favorite quote of the whole match or the whole event was one of Jordan's matches that I think it was like, maybe it was the same younger kid that he was competing against. And it must have been like a mom or something behind me that said, "Don't you let him touch you like that." Like it's something like, it was weird. It's just like, obviously it didn't feel like someone who was grappling IQ. Like it just like manhandling, like, don't let him touch you like that. And just like touch you.
I'm not letting him. I'm not letting him. Sorry, Mom.
Weird. It was just like, don't let him touch you. Like, it wasn't even just like, don't let him like, I'll grapple you. Like, don't let him touch you like that. Like, just so good. So, okay. So Matt had good thoughts, probably more enhanced, tighter passes or loose passing. But again, I would say it's hard having a match when someone negates you this whole time. And this actually leads perfectly well into the second match. Because the guy definitely seemed gassed from his match. He seemed like a stronger dude.
Yeah, he actually his arms were pretty strong. Like, I kind of let him be stronger at first. Like, I was actually kind of surprised that by the time I took him down, that I was able to just pin his arm and hold it out. I got a pretty strong grip, so that's kind of helpful. But yeah, it was actually, I wasn't able to get him into a 2-on-1 spot though, which was a bummer.
Well, so that's what Jordan and I were kind of talking about a little bit, because I think you had a strong focus on getting that 2-on-1, and he was doing a really good job of like negating it. But I think some of that negation could have led, into some like combo takedowns for your end.
Yeah.
Of like,
I was trying
double leg and things like that.
I don't want to do the blast double from there though, with the post up. I've hit it before and it works well in practice, but I didn't want to fall into a triangle. So that was kind of my thing. You create so much space when you do that blast double that I was going to land in guard a triangle or he'd be underneath me. And I was like, ugh, I didn't want to do that one. So I was trying to get to an arm drag.
Well, and
I just wasn't successful.
I think that's kind of the idea though, that like when it's that kind of fear, but it goes back into that blue belt territory where like you do the thing and then they negate it. And this is kind of where I got frustrated, not with you, because like you're in the midst of a match and trying stuff, but it was when that ref stopped you guys and he called stalling on both of you. And I knew once it stopped and started separating, I heard myself voice it. And I was like, hey, he's working. Like, when it said it, I'm like, Matt's working. He's trying to take this guy down, and all this guy is stalling. Like, I guarantee you I could take that judge and go show him the match and go like, at what point do you think Matt was stalling? Like, he was literally trying to grab his arm and work and work and work. It was not like the guy did anything to Matt and you were trying to back up too.
Yeah, no, I was forward the whole time. Like, I was actually getting worried that I was getting lulled into a sense of security there because he like wasn't attacking. Like, he wasn't doing any, like, he was trying to get a collar tie here and there, but it wasn't like anything, like he wasn't trying to shoot or anything like that.
So I think what happened was then at that point, after that stalling call, you went into basically a takedown, but you were able to scoop one of his legs and then take him right down.
I legit didn't know what I was thinking either. I was like going for an ankle pick. I was just moving, right? Like just existing within the match. And then I missed the ankle pick, but I was able to get a snatch on the
Which
leg.
was cool because literally right after, like basically halfway through a match after he called stalling, Matt's hand fighting a little bit here. I'm just watching the match. You drag him and you basically kind of like an ankle pick. You dragged him down and then went up for an ankle pick. He body locked and Matt went all the way around. I go, yeah, heck yeah. I need an elbow right there. And you secured points right there.
Yeah, I was actually pretty happy with my pass to mount on that one. If you notice, I had my shin. I actually had a staple on the outside leg. And then I was able to do a step over with a staple. And I was like, that's done. Like, because I've essentially collected both his legs at that point. One is pushing and one's pulling. It was like, it was cool. Kind of like a spider spinning up something in its web.
Yeah.
Being able to like pull your legs together like that. But once I got it, that felt really good to be able to get that pass to the side.
Yep. And then
scoop up the leg.
As you're establishing him out, he found a way to get a butterfly hook in and basically like reestablished a butterfly hook. But then once he's here in full butterfly guard here at 3:30, they reset you. And I'm like, oh, fantastic. Matt's going to just hit a body lock pass off of here.
Which I need to work more. I definitely need to work. I get caught in guard so much with that one. I luckily didn't that time. I was pulling so hard and like trying to push my knee in so hard. But that is something that I think I'm going to be practicing here in the next couple months.
Yeah. So he basically popped a leg out and then you started working to the opposite side. Or I'd say opposite side, but maybe side you're not as practiced on. I'm like, he stepped over, was falling down a little bit, kept bringing those knees back in. But again, I just felt like a good solid upper body control was going to help you. And you're doing well. Like you got basically half guard spot. You were doing something that Jordan was doing to me a little bit today, like a full on wrist pin at like 420.
Yeah, I like the wrist pins.
Which was cool.
Yeah.
More body lock passing situations.
Okay.
So I think that's the kind of stuff that like he did very well because like obviously the wrestling cues in the beginning he works very well at. So it's trying to set him up for like that next stage of like, okay, well, what does the grappling phase look like right after the takedown phase? And so it's working with him either loose passing situations or the tight passing. But again, Jordan's more like a template for myself as I'm looking at our other members and saying like, okay, if this certain game plan and strategy works out, like what are the things that people are going to be faced with more often? So watching him specifically compete in a wrestling video game character, we'll put it that way. Watching the seated game, the supine game, I was like, okay, this is stuff that we need to develop and work on to make something pretty secure. So that's why I was like, okay, let's play Bilock. Because on the other end, I want to work for myself to say, I don't want to help formulate like a school full of just takedown wrestlers. Like I want to be able to develop a full gambit of people who have the comfort and the ability to play both. So kind of like what Justin said of like being able to sit down and just play. So I was like, okay, let's kind of troubleshoot the body lock stuff and the situational stuff and like what we can do to make it more difficult or to open our game up a little bit. Like, so that way, anyone that competes against anyone in here, it's almost like a 50-50 type thing. Like you have no clue. Someone can get a body lock pass. Someone can open it up. But just because of how much time gets put into that kind of stuff, that was certainly the opening game. So let's see what's here. So Matt's doing a good job. You basically kind of body lock position around him. This is around 4:30. He has this tight half guard, but at this point you do a big step over on top. You do the Khabib staple.
Yeah, see, that's when I had that foot pin. Yeah.
Yeah, like you're hooking nice and strong. You got points for that. Then you're able to get that. He's pushing against you. He's struggling. He's reframing with his other arm to try to put the pressure off. I'm sure he's waiting for you to step over. I'm sure his coach is waiting for you to step over. And I'm like, cook it, Matt. And then I saw you kind of sit ratchet, and it's like, oof, yeah, that guy tapped quick.
Yeah, it felt good. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
It was cool. Let's see what's here. So I think I don't want take anything away from the other competitor, but I think the takeaways from this was just more on your end with the wrestling. I didn't feel like this other competitor was giving you much technical difficulties instead of you're kind of like breaking down his guard or breaking down his guard passing. Like you were taking your time. I mean, it was a good progressive match, if you want to call it that way. Like I think the match really started halfway, because it was very negating of wanting to engage, which sucked because you spent that whole time trying to start your game and he was just stopping and stopping and stopping. And then literally when they called stalling and you went like within 5 seconds, you're like, screw it. I'm going to bring him down and then ankle pick him and just went. And he was running. He got butterflies in, tried to do something, but just the pressure you're putting on him on top of the fact that he was already kind of tired and
that worked
exhausted. It was like that mental exhaustion. So we were working a little bit today with mount escape counters. So like elbow escapes and kipping we were playing a little bit. But this idea that someone's trying to leave and they get put right back in the same position, like someone's leaving mount and you go right back into mount instead of converting to back control or side control or whatever. It's like mentally exhausting. Like I'm trying to leave and it's not going anywhere. So on top of the fact of him being tired and trying to get out of the situation, I'm sure by the time that arm triangle really laid into it, it's like that's right at that point. So I think for Matt right now, I think that was just the stand-up stuff. So working the Russian Titan stuff into, kind of like 1-2 combinations at this point. Because I know we were talking about before of like
finishing the snatch single.
They post on your shoulder or they turn this way. Like now it's about like comboing things together. So like Jordan's wrestling class the other night was pretty good. He was kind of going over some combo stuff of the singles and all that. So it was good. I think that's a nice kind of template for right there. But again, it wasn't so much in a grappling sense the other person had anything major on you. It was just, little tiny things. So
I would like to verse that first guy some more. Like I think him and I would have some fun roles at some point.
I think it would be interesting to see what that match would have looked like if you were in side control or you're in like more of a top position. We'll put it that way. Just because like he was doing a lot of that game of guard retention. It's kind of what I've said before about guard. People are really good at guard retention. It's like sometimes once it gets past that hip line, like now it looks weird. Like now it's like, now the turtle kind of has their shell cracked open and now it gets a little bit more difficult at that point. But again, it's a game where it's both him and the second guy you versed played a similar game of countering. They did not really put you in any offensive deep spot other than spots that maybe you got put in because you went back for a straight foot lock or whatever the case may be.
Or I got sloppy. Yeah. Like honestly, there was a couple spots there where I didn't have pressure and straight up got sloppy with it.
Yeah. Or like building up for, like a turtle or a dogfight position, things like that too. So, but yeah, I think that was a really great experience. It kind of reminds me of my experience with Jill when she competed for the first time. It's like when it gets one other person, didn't seem to ask skill, but went through a full match, basically did the same thing of an arm triangle at the end.
Not funny.
But it's like kind of the similar thing of just like if you feel the whole gambit, the takedown, the guard passing. I think she got caught in bottom of side control, got herself out, got to mount, like kind of felt that full progression at that point. So, but what was crazy with Jordan was like he had 8 matches. Like, I couldn't imagine like how exhausted he had to be. But again, in his realm, he's so used to wrestling and grappling. I think somebody here this week was saying like, wow, you must have been exhausted. And it was funny seeing Riley tell him too, or like she was filming one of his matches and you can hear her go, yeah, he just looks so relaxed. Like he looks so chill. And Jordan's like, we were so taught to keep a normal face through torture. like he was exhausted and feeling all these things. And he's like, you have to keep that face. Because the moment you look tired or exhausted, and I know that from grappling too. Like you look too exhausted or you're wheezing or whatever, it's like that's fuel to the fire of my offense. Like, oh, this is working on you. You're like, you're not liking this. So well, cool. So what'd you feel with that second guy then? Did you feel similar with the wrestling stuff or?
Yeah, it was actually really interesting how when we were there in October and we were asking people if they like to play guard, pull guard, or leg lock, it was funny. I had the least amount of like votes in it was guard pulling. Yeah, you know what we saw the most is guard pulling. There's cognitive dissonance there between what people said they like to do and what people will actually do in competition. The second match, I felt a lot less tired. It was a lot smoother, slower paced, especially the first half. Yeah, I felt pretty confident with it. Like that dude is like, he was more muscular than I was. So it's obviously that gets in your head just a little bit, but I know that I'm stronger than I look. So I was like, okay, I need to not let that worry me. And then funny enough, when someone grabs you and you're like, okay, like he's got strong grip, but
it's such a trade-off.
I've got stronger
because
I'm going to hold on to it though and not use it yet and just kind of wait.
Well, you think somebody who has that strength, motivation in their life, like obviously like he looked like he's bigger than his natural body frame, like focused and weightlifted, that why would you not think that he would want to utilize that as an attribute in rolling? Like to be like, I'm strong
offensively,
hold you down tight. I'm going to do all these things, but in a competitive
I think he did in the first match.
What's that?
In the first match he did. He was like an aggressor, top position player.
Right. So I'm saying at that point when it gets you through one and then it's like dying for the second one, it's like that's that weird attribute tank back and forth, so.
Yeah. Got to save it.
So what do you feel like? What do you feel like for the next couple months? Because are you looking to compete again in
maybe? It was really fun.
Okay.
I might. Yeah. I'm going to kind of be up in the air about it, but I probably will because it was a lot of fun.
Jordan initially was saying that he might not do it because he said that same weekend was the D1 NCAA championships in Kansas City that he was going to go to. It was like the same weekend.
Oh, and go check it out.
And then literally a couple days later, he goes, you know what? I'm going to do Grappling Industries again. Like he's like, oh no, I'm going to do that again. But he's looking at purple belt this time of some grappling. Cool. I think he's really want to challenge himself in the grappling realm of it. In the meantime, us working through submission stuff too. And it's great because Justin, I was given the same feedback too of just some of his tactics he was using. And one time he got caught with that heel hook when he was going for a leg lock as well, like worked him through. But everything else was really good with him. Like he plays a really solid game. And it's also tough because he has I'm not sure if he's deaf in one ear or just general hearing, but you were saying it just like I should be able to go around the ring or something like that to be able to talk with him because he couldn't hear me. So it's like, and then most of the time he was facing away from me. And I was like, can't even like.
I don't think Justin cares though. He's just like, meh, whatever.
I think he doesn't mind me giving
the true test
advice with some of those kind of spots, but he definitely likes it when it was after, like when I was showing some of the things like, because he was in the gi match and I was kind of showing him like lapel chokes. He actually won one of the matches based on the adjustment I was giving him from the bow and arrow choke.
Cool.
Changed it up and got it. But no, he was.
It's a lot of bow and arrows.
Yeah, I mean they're pretty staple when you get to back control. There's a lot of pressure with it. I think I was very much a fan of doing bow and arrows staying on the lapel, so on both the lapels. Versus some people would grab one across the neck and then one grabbing the pants. I think Hot was always talking about you can like extend the pant leg and things like that. Like it was more difficult to catch it versus just staying on that back. So and then like I said, Paul the same thing too. I think he was taking like another little break too, like a week or something afterwards as well. But kind of coming back in, and they'll be cool to see what the next iterations come from in March. And again, I like it because to me, I treat it as like a conference. I treat it as a studio owner to be able to go and see like what the current landscape looks like for jiu-jitsu. So even though it's like for a competition's sake, it still mimics, grappling situations that we teach at the gym. It's like it's the same guard passing, guard playing, all those same things. It's just saying like what skill sets seem to be very important when it comes to those.
I've got some thoughts on that.
Yeah.
So there's a tendency to like start an instructional and try to go all the way through it. But what if that's actually not the best way to learn? And what if you actually just look at whatever problem you have and you just go and you follow an instructional to the point at which you feel like you got what you needed out of it, and then you just leave it. And maybe come back, maybe not. Like it's up to you. I wonder if that would actually be the easiest way to learn. I was rereading Anti-Fragile by Nassim Taleb.
Oh yeah.
And he was talking about that's how he learned for like when he reads books and stuff like that. If something is not solving a problem he wants or catching his eye or just being interesting, he just puts it down. And he's like, you'll naturally filter. It's a natural process to filter to what's important to you at that time. And it's important to listen to that because it's going to help you get better quicker at things. And I was like, oh, I should apply that to jiu-jitsu instead of just maybe having the focus next year of, standing and this and that. Maybe I'll actually revise what I'm going to be doing and go, okay, for instance, body lock passing was a problem here. Okay, I'm going to do body lock passing. I'm going to body lock pass for no determined amount of time, until I feel like I got what I needed out of it, where I can successfully body lock past most people.
Yeah.
Then I'll move on to the next thing. And that next thing will present itself to me at that time. Well, I don't know what it'll be.
I like the litmus test of you going against people that are outside the studio and outside the gym.
Yeah.
And I think that works
more.
very well for any jiu-jitsu people out there. Like if you want to compete more and feel like you want some more success with it, I would highly suggest trying to find either some local gyms or travel out of the area or reach out to someone and say, hey, can I pop in for an open mat or whatever? And just get used to just rolling against people who you have no clue what their styles are, but you still have a similar energy that you roll in your training room, right? It's a still similar thing, but now someone that might shut down your game, suddenly it's like, oh, this is weird and this is difficult. Like, you want to prep yourself so that when you go to a tournament, you don't want to be like, oh, I'm so great at body lock passing, but you never ran a full gambit of different levels of experiences, like bigger than you, more athletic than you. Someone might give a very technical response and like, whoa, what's this? Yeah, we actually play a lot of whatever tactic here. So we're used to countering it or getting out. Like, well, we never saw that tactic at my gym. And so you get kind of like inside secrets like that, so that when you go and compete, you're ready for those things. Like imagine going to mount and no one ever elbow escapes you in your gym, and all of a sudden you go in a competition, someone elbow escapes you, and you're like, "What's that?"
Yeah, what was that?
You're like, "Well, that's our counter for mount." And you're like, "I've never seen that before." It's like, well, maybe I should either A, learn it, or B, find ways to prevent that from happening. But you have.
By the way,
what's up?
Did you watch that Craig Jones video?
No, I haven't seen the 30 minutes. Was it 30 minutes of rolling?
Yeah, he's just so good. And anyways, it ties into what we're talking about right now.
It's just good to have that full experience, I think, though. But it goes to your point of saying like those specifics, because I think the hard part is like if someone gets really good in their gym and nobody challenges them, I feel it's your responsibility to go and either teach people what you do and hopefully get them to the point where they're doing it to you, or you're going to have to go to some place else and probably find some gym that seems like they're the same level or intensity and test it against them. Because otherwise, like you're gonna go to competition with this idea that you can body lock anybody or do whatever, and suddenly they counter it. And you're like, wait, what? And now your main strategy got shut down. That's a tough thing, but cool. Well, this was fun.
I think we're coming up on time here. Yeah.
So, and then on the top of that news, I'm going to be competing in that March tournament as well.
Yeah.
So I'm looking to, because the last time I did it, it was like within my own weight division that nobody had signed up. But at this point, I'm more than happy to go up a weight division. Not in my own weight, but like it was kind of cool seeing with Jordan going up in skill complexity with absolute advanced. So it's kind of funny because what would you think a Grappling Industries would think if a white belt were to sign up for a purple belt division with their white belt on?
Well, they won't let you if you're wearing belt, but in no-gi they'll let you.
So it's
I read it in the
just because you have a belt around your waist. Like if you walked in there and you were, I don't know, like it looks so visual. Versus like in absolutes, the one person that was in the finals was a blue belt in the absolute advanced.
Well, that's cool,
right? So blue belt and Jordan being a blue belt as well. So they were in that same boat. But imagine if it was a gi thing and you're wearing your blue belt. You're like, dude, you shouldn't be in here. You're a beginner person, So I think it's interesting at that end to be like,
I think it should be allowed.
It's kind of a weird balance because I think I shouldn't say it shouldn't be allowed, but I just remember that one guy that was like a black belt in jiu-jitsu from some other martial art that claimed he was I might as well be a black belt. And he went up against Andre Galvan, and Galvan just like basically did breakdancing on top of him. Like it was like more, it wasn't technical. It was like him showing he was just like dancing around this guy and doing whatever he wanted to do to him. Like for him to go, oh, you felt like you could be competitive with me or to do these kind of things. So I would only say that if that person got completely smashed. But again, at that point, it's like, it's up to you. You're trying to decide, but it's hard when someone signs up and they say, hey, here's another person in my division, and also, oh, you're a blue belt? It's like, yeah, I just want to challenge myself going against black belts. It's like, this is where I had a conversation with people this morning about like having a grappling, and we talked about this, a grappling ranking score.
Yep.
To be like,
we actually did a big chunk of an episode on that.
That's right.
Where people can, do you know what episode it was?
No, I don't know which one it was. Well, because we're just talking about.
I know we've talked about it multiple times. I don't want to.
Well, this idea that
kill our listeners here.
You would never have to worry about sandbagging or anything like that. You wouldn't have to worry. Like, someone couldn't jump into that absolute. Well, absolutes would be fine, but absolutes is like any weight class. But those absolutes advanced, so you could say any weight class, but your score has to be above 1,500 or something like that, and maybe for like, I don't know, something like that. Your score has to basically be 1,500 or above to compete in this division. Like that prevents a white belt going, I want to compete with the advanced people. And it's like,
well, okay. At the same time, though, if you're good enough, you should be able to beat them and just move on to the next match,
I guess that's the kind of
and be like,
the thing.
You should be happy that you got them. You'd be like, sweet, okay, this one's in the bag,
So I feel like that's fine. I think it gets weird when it gets like very minimal divisions. Like you could have got a refund versus now you're competing against a white belt.
Okay, that's fair.
Like you got gold, and you're like, yeah, well, for some reason, a white belt signed up for my division. Like,
yeah, that's a good point. Like you should get a refund.
Just someone that's maybe not as like in tune with everything and going like, well, I feel like I'm good. I can go into this, and it's like, yeah, I'm sure it's a complicated boat, but
so you're competing in the absolute expert division
as of right now. I'm looking at my own rank and like possibly to do like 185 or 205. But me to be as is with my weight and compete against the 205 division. But it's just let's look at the advanced, because then it becomes that weird category of like me and Jordan or me and Justin kind of thing, where it's like it feels like it would be fine. But I think when we were talking about like, especially in a tournament division, like if we were focusing on wins and things like that, it gets weird.
But you don't want to bump your own teammate out too, because everybody paid to be there, so it's like. You're getting in the way of their experience, I feel like.
But it's kind of those things where, like, you just want to be honest. Like, a friend of mine and I were in the same division, and we both had done a previous gi one, and we're now in the no-gi division. And it was just like me and him and two other people. So it just didn't matter at that point. I'm like, well, we're just going to have a full roll. The problem with the absolutes is that it's the very first one, And it's kind of like weird where it's like, I don't know. It's kind of a weird thing, too. I think if submission wise, if it was like a submission match between me and Jordan and we were in the absolute advance together, I think I'd be okay with like trying against him, like for those. But as far as like the grappling stuff or the movement base, like I think without me securing a very, tight position or whatever, like I think he'd be really up on points. Like it'd be I'd have to, I couldn't out grapple him. I'd have to submit him somehow. So it'd be worth a challenge, but it would me burning 5 or 6 minutes of my time versus like now not that much longer. I've got to go do my own division. So I guess it just depends of like your focus and energy at that point. So I guess it's not really a bad thing.
It'd be cool.
Depends on what part of the bracket you'd be in. If it was like,
you don't want to end up like having that be a first one, and then you're both just kind of like, well, this sucks. Like one person's going to go forward and one's not, and you both like could have had some exciting matches against other people. But no, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll definitely play a year.
Yeah. I'm running on a battery, and I gotta get back to the family. So,
well, cool. This was nice. If everything sounds good with this, we'll be posting this as our first official video podcast. Yeah. And then this will be thrown onto YouTube, and then we will do a separate one. We're recording on our lovely P4 right now. So we'll take that audio and throw that up to our regularly scheduled podcast platform.
Nice.
So the grapplingpodcast.com.
Yeah. I swear we'll do some more stuff with it eventually.
Yeah. And we're working on trying to get camera set up here. I'm just working on the MacBook right now. And then, as usual, give us some topics, give us some ideas, and then be good. Sweet.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys.
I like it. Oh, hey. Have a good one.
See you guys later.